Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty, and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, the best damn territorial wrestling in the business today. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have the smallest card in the history of the promotion. 3 matches, huge matches though they are, and about 28 participants between them. There is only 3 matches on the card tonight. In our main event of the evening, Ernest Youngman gets his rematch for the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship against the architect of your destruction, Dewie Archer. We heard in the last episode that Dewie Archer had a few choice words for the wrestling machine, the former ace that runs the place, and the heavyweight champion of the world. Lots and lots and lots of choice words for Ernest Youngman. But tonight, Ernest gets a chance to respond, not just in voice, but in physicality. And indeed, our main event will be for the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. A huge match, but that's not all, because in our semi-main event of the evening, the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championships are on the line. We saw the 3-way earlier this year, the Aces versus the Dynamite Express versus Devil May Care, the Valhalla Boys. It was a sensational 3-way, and in the end it came out that DMC are the greatest tag team in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling history, at least according to that match. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is the rematch for the annals of history. Not just any rematch, though. Tonight, for the first time ever here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, it's going to be tables, ladders, and chairs. 3-way. Ooh, jeez, that fucked my throat. 3-way. For the titles, first person to retrieve the belts gets them with their partner. Tables and chairs scattered across the ring. It is going to be mental. It is going to be crazy. It is going to be insane. It is going to be an environment that DMC will thrive in. Don't miss it. It is our semi-main event of the evening. And our third and final match tonight, a 20-man Battle Royal. The battle for the Mid-Atlantic, as 20 members of the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling roster try to compete for the number 1 contendership at where it all begins again. Amongst those competitors, the big money monster, James Diaz, who already has a briefcase that guarantees himself a shot at the Mid-Atlantic Championship whenever he wants. If he can win the Battle Royal tonight, he has 2 guaranteed shots. Trying to double up on his money is the big money monster. Also, of course, Davis Wayne Newton, a man that we've seen has snapped and has gone to the edge recently, but couldn't beat Austin Smooth in our number 1 contenders tournament a couple of months ago. He gets an opportunity tonight. He doesn't have to beat Austin Smooth in a one-on-one match. He's just got to throw him over the top rope. American Elemental is back in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling for a one-off appearance. Of course, our usual superhero, colorful masked character with his fast-paced wrestling is here. He's in there with his rival Kamikaze, both of which will be vying for a title opportunity. And of course, the Demon Scythe, who has got the physicality to throw anyone over the top rope. We're in the Capitol Gardens. We are here for the battle for the Mid-Atlantic, or of the Mid-Atlantic. Let's get started as we head to the interview area for one of our many participants. And American Elemental says, I've been here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling for a couple of years. Actually, I can't remember whether American Elemental was silent. Because I think he was. I think he was the silent character for a while, but I know he has talked a couple times. And he said, but I've been over to Japan, I've learned a lot, and it's time to bring what I learned in Japan, it's time to bring what I've learned around the world here to Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And I've been to the big stage, I've been to where it all begins again, I've competed for that title. It's time to do it again. And he does a victory pose or something and walks off. And then we have Fro Shore, who gets on the mic and says, "Sweet Tabatha, oh, sweet Tabatha, every time I step onto this stage, it is a mixture of exhaustion and excitement. Because I look at pro wrestling and I take the good and I take the bad, because pro wrestling has taken so much away from me. So much. Every fiber of my body says to turn back and go home and walk away, but I can't walk away, sweet Tabatha. I can't do it. I can't give up this life, because this life is everything to me. So I accept that I can't walk away. I accept, bro, that I can't go anywhere. So I've got to sit here and I've got to take what I can get. And tonight I have a chance, the biggest chance of my career, if I can do this. And I came so close only a few years ago to winning a battle for the Mid-Atlantic type tournament. If I can do it tonight, I'll be on the big stage. I'll be going to where it all begins again. I'll get a shot at that Mid-Atlantic Regional Heavyweight Championship. And boy, that would be something. Froshore, fired up, seems to be accepting his fate as a professional wrestler at the moment. Marv Stotler says, I've been a professional wrestler for a very long time, and everyone looks at me as one of the greatest tag team wrestlers in the business, and they're right to say so. But tonight they get to show to the world that I'm not just Marv Stotler or the Ring Generals. I am Marvelous Marv Stotler, the greatest technical wrestler, suplex-based wrestler in the wrestling today. And I will prove my worth, and I will go to where it all begins again and get my title shot. And finally we hear from Davis Wayne Newton, who just smiles in a creepy way at Sweet Tabatha before snatching the microphone off of her and says, I lost a couple months ago to Austin Smooth. And I lost badly. And he shut down everything I could even throw at him. You're pretty good, huh, Austin? Tonight I don't think you're going to be as lucky. Tonight I'm going to victimize you. I'm going to rip you to shreds, and I'm going to throw you over the top rope, and I'm finally going to get the title shot that I earned last year at where it all begins again. Because quite frankly, I'm sick of waiting. Davis Wayne Newton in that vicious mood, he's got those cold eyes that we're used to seeing from him. Can he win the battle for the Mid-Atlantic? It's up next. Massive 20-man battle royal, and indeed it is crazy. It is crazy in there. We've got someone like Cowboy Brad Blaze with those fists of fury that he has. Gary Walker, of course, the underdog who had to claw his way into the professional wrestling business. He puts up a spirited performance, getting a couple of eliminations. We got the former leader of Team Progress, the Knight of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, George Wolf, hitting spears out of nowhere in an exciting fashion. The exciting, fast-paced, smooth and slick easy money Austin Smooth moving from hold to hold, and of course we saw Marv Stotler earlier doing those throws of his, suplex after suplex, wearing down his opponent. A crazy, massive, over-the-top rope battle royal. But in the end, Tennessee Williams is thrown, Clinton Adams of Audi Goon, the Sam Keith Classic winners, is thrown, and eventually, with a big drop kick, American Elemental falls to the outside, and the man who is left standing is the King of California, the bro of bros, Froshore, who stands tall, and Froshore has done it. So much hardship over the last couple of years, but finally he's got that big break. Froshore is going to where it all begins again. The main event, Froshore versus presumably the winner of our main event of the evening, although there are rumors that perhaps we will be getting another title match next month at the Clash. But more on that as we hear from it. But anyway, Froshore is the one guaranteed man in that where it all begins again main event. Huge stuff tonight. Froshore, big victory for him. And indeed, after the match, Fro gets on the mic and he's just exacerbated, and he says, there was a little part of me. There was a little part of me that thought that I would never do this, that I would never get that break, that I would never get that opportunity, because you know what? I've been fighting so hard. I've been fighting so hard for so long. And when I needed it most, when it was the bottom of the ninth, and I needed it the most, and I needed to come through, and I needed that big victory, that one moment, those couple months of my life where everything could have been so different, I couldn't get that victory. And I thought that was it, that I was done. But it shows that you've just got to keep fighting. You got to keep moving forward, because nothing is ever certain and nothing is ever dead in the water. And I got to tell you, for everyone out there, all my bros in the crowd who believed in Froshore, finally we get our break. Finally we get our chance, but it's not done yet, because this is just step one. On October 22nd, 2023, that is when I finally grab that brass ring and I pull it down, and I'm never letting go. We did it, baby. Let's keep going. Froshore excited, but he of course admits it's not over yet. much, much more on this journey in the coming months for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, it is tables, ladders, and chairs, and it is crazy. Of course, Devil May Care, the Valhalla boys, they don't care how many scars they get, how many times they have to visit the emergency room, the concussions, the MRIs, the broken bones, it don't matter, because the light at the end of the tunnel is the most glorious victory that they could possibly see. You know, they won the triple threat tag team match earlier this year. This is even grander. This is the bigger stage. They see it. The glory of the greatest tag team championships in the business today. And they throw themselves. Doesn't matter about the tables. Doesn't matter about the ladders. Doesn't matter about the chairs. They use their own bodies as weapons, and they fling themselves around, fling themselves everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. And they use their bodies as weapons, and they take it to the Aces. They take it to the Dynamite Express, and they bulldoze through their opponents. And although the opponents put up a very good fight, an admirable fight from the Dynamite Express and the Aces of Mayhem, this was a Devil May Care match. Bump after bump. Of course, Sid Collier takes his stunt bump, probably like four tables. I imagine like Stuntman is just setting up tables as the match goes on. Like, oh, here's a second table. Oh, I've been interrupted. Here's a third table. There's a fourth table. And Sid is setting up like a table of chairs as he is wont to do. And it's just this cacophony or cornucopia is probably a better term, of tables and chairs at ringside that have just been left as Chekhov's gun. And Sid is climbing like, yay, I'm going to get the 4th titles. And he's going to grab them. And then Stuntman's like, ooh, I have an idea. And he does a drop kick from ladder to ladder. And Sid just goes flying through the cornucopia of tables and chairs. Maybe there's a ladder in there to complete it. And then Cameron just drops to his knees, Planet of the Apes style. And it's like, my partner is dead. What am I going to do now? And then we just devolve into an Aces versus Devil May Care match where Devil May Care are just flinging themselves from pillar to post, battering the Aces of Mayhem until finally Acid climbs the ladder and is like, yo, I'm going to finish this now, lads, and grabs the item, or the titles, I suppose. And Devil May Care are still your tag team champions as we head, I believe, to the interview area where Ernest Youngman is standing, his sunglasses and his leather jacket in tow, the world's heavyweight championship around his waist, and he looks at Sweet Tabatha and says, Sweet Tabatha, I don't want to talk to you right now, and I love you, baby. You know I do. Let me just take that microphone, because I don't want to talk to you right now. I want to talk to Dewie Archer. I want to talk... No, fuck Dewie Archer. I'm going to talk to the architect. You know what? I did respect you. And I did think you respected me, and I thought just for a second that you were a wrestler. I thought just for a second that you were a man, but I was wrong. Actually, I wasn't wrong the first time I met you. I was right the first time I met you, but you changed my mind. You pulled the wool over my eyes. But last month, the scales lifted. That's all you are, Dewie Archer, and I said it the first time we fought. You're a gimmick. You're a walking, talking gimmick. And you never did grow up. You never did mature. Nothing about you screams wrestler. You're just a gimmick who's gone too far and needs to be put down. And it doesn't matter whether you've got MC Motormouth in your corner. It doesn't matter whether you've got the Proton lock, which you lock in terribly, by the way. You're still just a boy walking around calling himself a man. You hate me, huh? You hate me so much. You hate me so much. Well, quite frankly, fine. Fine, hate me all you want because it fuels me. I step in that ring and I love every second of it. You can't bring me down. You can't bring me down to your level because I am the wrestling machine. I'm the best there's ever been. I'm a 4-time world's heavyweight champion. I've held this championship for longer than you've been in wrestling, son. You know, I said this a while ago that the future goes through me. Well, quite frankly, you're no longer the future, Dewie. You're the past already. What are you, 32 years old? I'm younger than you. And I've already achieved way more than you ever will. And tonight I'm going to win my 2nd Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship and prove to the world that all you are is a fluke. That you could pin somebody else in a triple threat match with Ernest Youngman in it. Well, quite frankly, Dewie, diamonds may fade and giants may fall, but Ernest Youngman is forever. And I'm going to add another legendary title reign to my name tonight. And I'm going to make you tap out. Because quite frankly, Dewie, I'm done playing games with children. I'm done playing games with guys like you. I'm going to put you down because that's what you deserve. Ernest Youngman fired up for tonight's main event. The next chapter in the Dewie Archer Ernest Youngman saga is a 75B-, and indeed, these two brutal, these two bloody. They just go at each other, the Memphis-style brawling to start off, and these two are wonderful technical wrestlers. They're beautiful technical wrestlers, but tonight isn't about beautiful technical wrestling. Tonight is about nasty, brutal, destructive wrestling, straight fists, bloody crimson mask to start off, because these two have grown to just dislike each other. You know, they've wrestled for a very long time against each other, like 5 years, maybe 6 years they've been wrestling against each other, and they know each other inside and out, and they know exactly who they are. And a lot of people, they get to know each other better through wrestling, and they start to respect each other more. It's been blatantly obvious over the last couple of weeks that these two do not respect each other because they know each other. They know each other and they despise everything about each other. And they have so many similarities. They're great technical wrestlers. They're charismatic. They're a little cocky. Let's face it, they're really cocky. And they're very similar, but clearly opposites attract. These two are not opposite men. They are very, very similar, and they occupy the same headspace. And tonight you can see hatred manifest. And you can see that the world's heavyweight champion wants to teach this kid a bit of respect, even though he's 2 years older than him. But you know what? That's fine. He wants to teach this kid a bit of respect. You got that kind of dynamic to him that Ernest does carry with him an experienced presence. Age doesn't matter here. Ernest feels he's the 4-time world champion. He's been the Mid-Atlantic champion before. You know, he is a legend in the territories today. Absolutely 100% a legend. And Dewie Archer is this brash, cocky, kind of slim character. And despite the age difference, it definitely has that dynamic of Ernest, the experienced master, trying to just finally beat a bit of respect into Dewie Archer. And Dewie Archer, obviously, he has that chip on his shoulder, only been champion for 2 months. And he said blatantly, I want to beat some respect out of Ernest Youngman. It's that macho, machismo dynamic that we would expect from this kind of match. And these two, like we said at the opening, are great technical wrestlers, but that's not what we're going to see tonight. It is brutal bombshell fists, back and forth, just trying to break the other man's nose, and successfully doing so on multiple occasions, both men, as the blood starts to trickle and starts to cover both men's faces. And then eventually, finally, we get into a bit of technical wrestling, but it's not flashy, it's not escapist, it's not hold for hold, it's not with a smile and a nod. No, none of that shit. It is brutal, it is chokeholds, it is nasty, nasty holds that just meant to keep the other man in place so they can batter them with more elbows and batter them with more fists. And it is a brutal affair. It is a nasty affair. And then eventually, both men, they brawl so much that the referee gets knocked out, and they both know what's going to happen. And both men roll out the ring, they grab a chair, and they look each other up and down, and they start to just batter each other with steel chairs, kendo sticks, everything. It's all of the morality, all of the honor has gone out the window, because these two are done with each other. And tonight, they want it to be the last night. Kendo stick shot after kendo stick shot, just brutal, skin tearing, skin crawling, cringe inducing weapon shots as both men just try to beat the submission out of the other, because that's the only way tonight is going to end, with a submission. And whether that is passing out or tapping out or snapping, one of these men is not going to leave here on his own 2 feet. And that's what they try and rip out of each other, a submission, brutally. The ref finally gets to his feet. He can see there are steel chairs all across the ring, and at that point he's got to show some common sense. We see it in football, in derby matches. Sometimes the referee lets a few things go. Tonight he's got to let a lot of things go, because he's seeing one of the most heated rivalries in Mid-Atlantic wrestling history manifest itself in front of him, and he knows that these two men are going to take every single opportunity to inflict pain on the other. So he lets it go. And they continue to batter each other with steel chair after steel chair. Ernest Youngman unhooks the top rope, starts to choke Dewie Archer with part of the top rope. The ring is starting to become a part of this match. And you can see the gradual deterioration of both men's psyche with the gradual deterioration of the ring, because the ring is starting to get stained with blood. Parts of the mat are starting to rip off. And now Ernest Youngman has ripped the top rope out of its holdings, and he's using the top rope as a choking mechanism. The ref's trying to get him to stop, but he can't. And that, of course, exposes all 4 turnbuckle, turnbuckle things. The metal pieces of the turnbuckle. And then Dewey Archer, when he finally gets out of the nasty chokehold that Ernest was locking in with the ropes, finally gets momentum back. He starts to grind Ernest's face into the metal part of the turnbuckle, starts to grind it up, starts to really, inflict permanent damage on Ernest Youngman's head. And Ernest, of course, tries to fight back. Ernest got the heart, the fire, the passion, and the expertise that we're used to seeing from the wrestling machine, the best there's ever been. Ernest Youngman fights back, tries to get back into the match, but God, if when you sink down to this level, is Dewey Archer not an advantage? Because he is. And as much as we talk about Ernest Youngman's killer instinct, his winning mentality, he's not as depraved, he's not as vicious, and he's not as spiteful as Dewey Archer. Ernest Youngman, he's a little miffed. He's a little pissed off over the last couple of months. He's gotten down to this level probably for the first ever time. This is the most angry Ernest Youngman's ever been in a wrestling ring. But Dewey Archer is spiteful. He's been jealous and driven by that jealousy for years. Probably the only reason why he's champion right now is that he is fed off this sense of jealousy and this sense of entitlement. And so when he gets a chance to manifest that entitlement, to manifest that jealousy into brutality, into viciousness, into every single measure that he can take to inflict pain on Ernest Youngman, he's going to take it. And he brutalizes Ernest Youngman, and Ernest Youngman eventually has to concede that this is not him. And he can't go any further, and he's got to fall to his knees. He's got to slap Dewey Archer in the face and say, "Finish me, you bastard." And Dewey Archer locks in the Proton Lock, and Ernest Youngman taps out. And Dewey Archer is still the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Champion. Proving, for all the, this match was not clean. This match was not a technical masterclass. But I don't think anybody coming out of this brutal affair is going to say that Dewey Archer is a fluke. He's earned that title, and he earned that victory. What next? What next? Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you particularly enjoyed and are feeling especially generous, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. If you want to hear me ramble on Twitter, there's a link to that also in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, next episode is The Clash, and I can announce now that we are going to be having a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship match, as Dewey Archer is going to be facing his old rival, George Wolf. Big main event as we go into where it all begins again, and of course, the winner of that match will go on to face Fro Shore in our main event of where it all begins again. Join us next time. Peace.